Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subject is Advanced Corporate Finance, and this is a third lecture on merger and acquisition. Teaching agenda for today's lecture is acquisition and capital budgeting. As we discussed it in earlier lecture a bit briefly, we will discuss it more in more elaborate way in this lecture. Acquisition and capital budgeting example, numerical example. Other issues in capital budgeting and acquisitions. We will discuss what are the issues. Closing the deal. What factors should be considered when the deal is finalized and when it is come to closing. What are accounting treatment for merger and acquisition M&A? How it will be treated in book of accounts. Acquisition and capital budgeting. First of all, what is capital budgeting? In capital budgeting, we have a cash flow and cash flow for a number of years, let's suppose from 1 to 10 years, and then we discounted it on any rate that is called I. We calculate a present value of any project future cash flow. This is what basically this is capital budgeting technique. So cash flow divided by discount rate is basically present value, and we calculate what we are paying today and what is the present value of the future cash flow. The net difference is called NPV, and if NPV is positive, we accept the project. If it is negative, we reject the project. Positive, then we accept the project. If it is negative, we reject the project. So in same case, acquisition can be treated as capital budgeting project. This requires an analysis of free cash flows of the prospective acquisitions. Free cash flow are the cash flow that remain after we subtract from expected revenue any expected cost, means revenue, we subtract all cost from revenue, and then any capital expenditure, capex, revenue minus all costs minus capital expenditure of the company for its sustenance and survival, and after that what remain is called free cash flow. This free increase in free cash flow basically increase the wealth of shareholder. So free cash flow should be considered any synergistic effect but be before financial charges. So that examination is made of marginal after tax operating cash flow and net investment effect. Free cash flow is basically synergistic benefit, but we have to consider if we are to pay any interest. If we borrow some amount for that acquisition, then this interest will be deducted from free cash flow, and then we will get a positive value. But this interest less taxes, we will also incorporate the taxes in free cash flow as well. Example, let's suppose average for the year in 1000. If a company is borrowing a B, and this is the free cash flow of a B limited that have been borrowed by A, B limited 1 to 5 operating cash flow is 2000, and capital expenditure or investment need of the company is 6,000 and free cash flow is 1,400. From next 5 year, 18,000 is basically operating cash flow, investment need is 300. So cash flow after that is requirement, free cash flow is 1,500. For the next 15 year, 1,400 no investment need, 1,400 is free cash flow. For the next 5 year, 800 is cash flow, no investment need, 800 is free cash flow. For next 2,500, 200 and then 200. So this is basically 5, 5, 5, 15, 20, 25 year cash flow of any firm is available. So if we discounted this for 5 year, this for 5 year, this for this, so what will be the present value of this cash flow if we discounted it? What will be the discounted? Let's discuss it. For a firm, the appropriate discount rate, for the example, free cash flow is a cost of capital for acquired firm. Assume that this rate is 15% after taxes. It means firm A will discount this cash flow on a weighted average cost of capital, not on the target weighted average cost of the capital of the target. A will use its own weighted average cost of capital in order to discount the free cash flow of B Limited, because A is going to hire the company, going to buy the or acquire the company. So when these are 25-year cash flow when discounted at 15%, it becomes 8.7 to 724 million dollar. So this is the present value of the B Limited or the target company. If the cost or the investment that is needed for the B Limited is less than this amount, then the acquirer firm should buy. If the acquirer firm pay 9 million for that target, it will result in negative NPV. So the firms will not create value for the this acquisition will not create value for the shareholder. If the value of the firm is this one, on the basis of present value, and the firm pay 6 million, acquirer pay 6 million to the target shareholder, then 2 million is positive NPV. In this case, it create value for the shareholder. Represent maximum acquisition price that the acquiring firm should be willing to pay. If we don't assume the acquirer's liability, we have to see the acquired liability as well, not solely on the basis of present value. Acquisition price, if acquisition price is less than or exceeds the present value, then the acquisition is expected to enhance. If the acquisition price is less, then it will enhance the value. If it exceeds, it will reduce the shareholder value in a longer term period. Acquisition and capital budgeting issue. Other issues may be considered that non-cash payment and assumption of liabilities. If the firm is highly leveraged firms, then high debt to equity, then solely on the basis of present value of the cash flow will not help you a lot. You have to consider, you have to examine the level of debt that the target company have borrowed. Estimating cash flow, this is another also a judgmental issues in acquiring the firm. How you are going to estimate these 25-year cash flow was an example. So that is again an issue. You may underestimate the cash flow or you may overestimate the cash flows. So this is another issue. Cash flow approach versus earning per share approach. For valuation, you use cash flow approach and EPS approach. These are two approaches. As I told you that EPS approach is bet frequently used in numericals, because the cash flow approach is highly examined in the project evaluation technique and financial management. So EPS approach is used, but generally EPS approach examine the acquisition on short-term basis, while cash flow approach take more longer view of the acquisitions. Closing the deal. The combination, this is basically a steps when target and acquirer agreed on the terms and both are agreed. This acquirer finalized the deal and everything have been finalized. The exchange ratio, that let's suppose 1 share for 2 share of T will be paid to the target. So other terms and conditions are also finalized. The payment deal either in share acquisition or cash acquisition, means the shareholder of T will be paid in cash or in exchange for the share. Everything is finalized. Now it is final. How to deal and what should be considered. The combination of two or more firms into entirely a new firms, that is called final closing. The old firm ceases to exist, meaning that is merger or acquisition. In merger, one firm acquire another, while in combination, both firms ceases to exist and new firms emerge. It's called merger. Target. What should the closing deal? In a closing deal, these are the factors that should be considered. Target is evaluated by the acquirer. Acquirer should evaluate the target, its assets, its liability, its future prospects, its nature of business, its location, leverages, mean debt to equity, incumbent management, employees. Everything should be evaluated by the acquirer. Terms should be agreed upon with the shareholder. It may be not with the management, but the shareholder, because the shareholder are the real owner. If they going to buy the shareholding, you can buy any firm. Respective board, both board of directors, means board target as well as acquirer. The board of both companies, that is board of this one and board of this target, should ratified and approved this acquisition plan. This board should discuss the offer made by the acquirer. This board should also discuss the offer and the prospects of the target, and after ratifying by the respective board of director, then the company should approve the deal. Otherwise, they should refrain from the deal. Second, after ratifying by the board of directors of the both target and acquirer, it should be approved by the shareholders in annual general meeting or extraordinary general meetings. So oftenly the majority required for any acquisition is often the two-third majority because it is strategic decisions, so it should be approved by the shareholder of the both firms, target and acquirer. The board will ratify that yes, the deal is okay. Now the shareholder of the both companies will set and approve the deal by two-third majority. Paperwork, proper paperwork should be done. ACCP need require paperwork, and all the required paperwork ACCP should be fulfilled. Listing regulation of the Pakistan Stock Exchange should be considered. Even paperwork for the internal use should also be considered. Possible consideration by the Antitrust Division of the Department of Justice and Federal Trade Commission. While in Pakistan there is Competition Commission of Pakistan, CCP, it also have reservation on certain merger and acquisitions that may be merger and acquisition result in monopoly. So this certain merger and acquisition are not allowed in Pakistan to stop monopolies in open market. If let's suppose five firms of the this curtailment is we see the abuses of curtailment in sugar milk sugar prices case, that all firms agreed or they make certain one curtailment for buying and selling the things. So if similarly two or three firms combine together and make a big firm which enjoy a monopoly in the market, so it is discouraging. What are accounting treatment of the merger and acquisitions? Merger and acquisition, obviously there would be financial reporting requirement for merger and acquisition. First is purchase method. In purchase method, accounting treatment of merger based on the market price paid for the acquiring company. Acquiring company will have different assets. These assets are valued at the market price, not at a historical price. Liquidity will also be recognized at a market price, not historical price. It is called purchase method. Pooling of interest method is a second method in which accounting treatment for the merger is based on book value, means what is appear in the balance sheet, it will be accordingly treated. The balance sheet of the two companies are simply combined. It is called pooling of interest method. Let's suppose two companies are going to merge, A and B. Their assets are just added upon with each other. So it is called pooling of interest method. Goodwill also arises when one firm buy another firm. The intangible asset of the acquired firm arising from the acquiring firm paying more for them than their book value. It would be, says, let's suppose the value of the target is 20 million and the firm pay 21 million, let's suppose. The acquirer pay 21 million. Value is 20 million of the target and acquirer pay 21 million, 1 million extra rupees paid, that is called goodwill. Goodwill require impairment annually. How it will be impaired? In the balance sheet, it is like this. Impairment to the earning is recognized when the book value of the goodwill exceeds its market value by an amount that equal to the difference. Let's suppose goodwill is we recognize 1 million goodwill. Now the market value is 0.7 million. So we will reduce this 1 million to 0.07 million, and that 0.3 million will be charged to the earnings, just like depreciation expense. Goodwill charges are recognized for tax purposes as well, not in Pakistan but in United States, for 15 years from the acquisition. So goodwill have their own treatment according to our ITO 2000 Income Tax Ordinance 2001, but it is deductible also in Pakistan as well, but have with certain condition. Thank you. This was all about today's lecture.